Fun to Eat. Today we are making a burrito chicken skillet. So you should already have all your toppings all chopped up and ready to go, all your ingredients. So you start this recipe by making the rice. So when you're making the rice, usually the rule of thumb is if it's 1 cup rice, it's 2 parts water. So if you have 1 cup of rice, then you'll have 2 cups of water. In this recipe, we have 2 cups of rice. So I've already added in 2 cups of water, and we'll add 2 more cups in. And then we'll come over here, and we have some brown rice in here. Brown rice is better than white rice because it's filled with way more fiber for you. So you'll just add that into your pot there. And generally I cook mine at 6 degrees, or at the 6 here, there, just over a little bit over the middle. And so you can stir it up. Make sure everything's covered. And then we wait for it to boil, so we won't watch it boil. We'll start cooking the chicken. So over here we have our chicken that's ready, and I've already put salt and pepper on it. If you have things like garlic powder in the house and you want to add to that, you can. Same with onion powder. Kind of whatever is your preference for that. And then usually I cook at a 6. Every stove is different. Mine's a little bit older, so I need a higher heat to cook. Some are more sensitive and need a less higher heat. So right now I'm just adding the oil so the chicken doesn't stick and it goes around nice and smoothly. And we'll wait for that to preheat. One of my favorite things about this recipe that we're doing today is that it's pretty inexpensive to make and it feeds a large family. So I can usually feed like 4 or 5 people on this recipe, so that's always nice. And the rice is still there, starting to cook a little bit. So you can go ahead and add your chicken. And then all that we're going to do in the chicken is make sure that it's in bite-sized pieces. And we're just going to wait for it to saute and warm up, and we'll just cook it until it's pink. So it's been about 6 minutes since I started the chicken, and it was getting cooked thoroughly. From there, you just add both the tomatoes, the onions, and the black beans to your chicken. And you just keep on sauteing and stirring it until the onions and the beans start looking done. I gave you a Rototel spicy tomatoes with chilies, but for this recipe you could really use any tomatoes. So if you don't have them on hand, you can just use any diced stewed tomatoes that you have in the house. And right now over here our rice is starting to boil nicely, so we're going to give it a few more minutes before we turn down the heat and put a lid on it. So I would say probably about 2 more minutes. So our chicken and vegetables are cooking pretty quickly, and our rice is boiling to what I think is almost ready. So what you usually do at this point is you want to reduce the heat, usually down to either 2 or a simmer. This is where you need to keep an eye on your rice so that it doesn't burn. And then you just put a lid on it and just wait for the water and rice to absorb all the water. And then we'll come back here, and as you can see, there's lots of liquid in here still, and we're trying to burn that off. But if it doesn't, that's okay. You can also just use like a slotted spoon when you're putting it in the casserole dish. So to make things quicker, we're just going to go ahead and add our taco seasoning, which is just over here, because it's more liquid to add. And the taco seasoning is just to enhance the flavor for the chicken and the beans and the tomatoes. So you can just put that in there and stir it all around. And I would let it cook on medium, or you can cook it on higher if you want to try to burn off more water, like have it evaporate. But yeah, you just keep on stirring it around and occasionally, and keeping an eye on your rice and making sure that that doesn't burn. Okay, so now our chicken and vegetables are all done. They've absorbed up most of the water, so And then as you can see with our rice, it is looking nice and fluffy. So I did find I had to pour a little bit of the water out. If you do need to pour water out, you can just put the lid up against the pot and make a small space and drain it a little bit more. Every rice is different. This is a different rice than I usually cook with. So now for one of the final steps. So you're gonna take your rice and you have an oven safe dish here, and you're just gonna empty your rice into the dish. Then you can smooth it all out. And then really steam it. It's really hot. So then you're gonna take your chicken and beans and tomatoes and all that good stuff, and you are actually going to just scoop it into your, or dump it in with the rice. So mine's been sitting for a few minutes as I was waiting for the rice to cook. When you are cooking your rice, you can actually start it before you start your chicken, or like when you're prepping everything, you can start it, because generally the rice takes about half an hour to cook. So once we get that all in there, then what you can do is stir it all up and mix it all up together. And the really nice thing about this dish as well is you can always mix it up. So you can just eat it how it is, like this. Or you can also put it in like a burrito wrap. Or in our household, we like to use tortilla chips. And then the kids will like chip and dip with it, sort of thing. So now your next step is the cheese. So all that you're gonna do is, I have a little bit more cheese because I grabbed some from home. But you just blend it all over. Keep on blending it. And then once that's all ready to go, you're gonna top it with your green onions. So some people don't like green onions, some people do, so it is completely optional. I like it for flavor, it just adds a little bit more. You can actually, if you do have it lying there in the house too, for the next time that if you make this, you can actually add corn to your recipe as well. So add a little bit more rice. And then all that you're going to do is you're going to pop it in the oven at 350 degrees for 5 to 10 minutes. And all that you're looking to do is just melt the cheese because everything else is already cooked. And then you can enjoy it. So thanks for joining us this week on Don't Eat. Have a good day.